What do celebrity interviews, beauty trends, and viral captions have in common? For Marci Robin, they're just another day in her editorial empire. Today, we're diving into beauty journalism, influencer impact, and how the perfect product and the perfect post can change everything. From Allure to glamour, good housekeeping, and beyond, Marci Robin has spent the last 2 decades shaping the way we talk about beauty, writing stories that spotlight everything from the boldest lipsticks to the boldest celebrity statements. Her work bridges pop culture, wellness, identity, and influence with a dash of snark and a whole lot of insight. But before we begin, I have to tell everyone how we met. For those who don't know, I freelance choreograph most often at the Lake Worth Playhouse. Marci had recently moved to Florida and was jumping back into theater, and lo and behold, she was my Miss Hannigan when we did Annie. And yes, that was during the COVID era, and we definitely try to block that part out, but the show was fantastic. And since then, we've done plenty of shows together, and it's just the best reminder of how theater has a way of bringing people together.
I've definitely mentally moved on from Annie and that year, for sure. But yeah, gosh, we've done several shows together now. We've done 9 to 5 together. What else have we done?
It's like so many that my mind's like, where else?
We have definitely done more than 2 shows together.
Yes.
What is wrong with my brain right now? I don't know.
What else have you been in?
You didn't do We Will Rock You. You don't do Sound of Music. But I've also just been around.
I would say, I think you've just been part of a lot of the shows or around a lot of the shows.
I just sort of
and then you also met your fiance during Annie.
Well, we met prior to that. We had done Gypsy together, but I wouldn't say together. Like we were 2 ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
And so we weren't really like interacting. He was like supposed to be sort of like a teenage dancer.
Yes.
And I was an aged stripper. So we didn't really cross paths on that. But yeah, you've worked with him more than I've worked with you.
Yes. You guys have been on
done
a lot of the shows.
at least half a dozen shows you've done together.
Yes. And what's so funny is the first show I did with your fiance, Chris, it was Footloose.
Right.
And we didn't have enough boys. And I remember the executive director being like, we have a couple of boys who are going to audition. And then I like go to audition them. And I was like, I think they'll do, right? Because they were not sure that they were dancers. They were more performers, more actors at the time. And then he was like, well, great, because you have to use them because we need boys. And little did Chris know that I was going to throw him into all those dance numbers.
And from what I've seen in the pictures, very, very short shorts.
Yes. and he's been doing it since and taking dance classes. And
he can tap better than I can.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, he really had like a knack for it.
So fun.
But yeah.
But I always say, like, the Playhouse brings all these people together, all different professions, all different careers from all over. And it's just fun that's how we've met.
Yep.
And we get to talk now a little bit about our careers, not from the theater. And we're going to go into, how did your journey begin in beauty journalism?
So I interned in the wrong field. I was an intern at The Late Show with David Letterman, which no one would ever call a mistake doing that. That was a fantastic opportunity. But back then, and maybe even still today, if you want to become an editor, you need to get an internship in editorial. And I was really struggling to break into that field when I realized I didn't want to do TV. I didn't want to do talent. I wanted to do writing and editing. And I basically did kind of a stunt, if you will. I auctioned myself on eBay as an editorial assistant.
No way.
There's a New York Times article about it. It's so silly.
I did not know this.
It is true.
Is so fun.
And this is like 2002. So there's no like viral stuff. It's just sort of word of mouth that somebody did something silly.
Yes, but eBay was the site back then.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And of course, it was taken down within a couple of days. But it got in front of a few of the right people, and I got some informational interviews with nobody was hiring really because it was still post 9/11. Things were very slow with hiring. But I interviewed with like Cosmo Girl, rest in peace.
Yes.
And InStyle, and finally Alloy. Do you remember Alloy? It was like a catalog and like an online teen magazine.
Yeah.
They hired me. And I ended up actually leaving New York when I was pretty young, in my early mid-20s. And when I moved down to Florida, a job opened up at New Beauty, which was at the time exclusively based in Boca. And they were looking for their first online editor. And what's so funny is that it was their web development team that hired me. I didn't actually speak to any editors because they figured somebody who was like a digital editor would be.
Yes, you said their first. So what year was that?
This was 2007.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was writing their blog, and it's so funny to me to think of like a major publication having a blog, because at the time, and still, it's, you know,
very Carrie Bradshaw.
Yes, it is. And so I was there for like 4 years, and I was really itching to come back up to New York. I say come back up as if I'm there right now.
Yes.
Mentally, I'm always in New York.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I ended up actually leaving editorial for like a hot minute. I was the content director at a beauty PR firm, and then I continued down my path of other beauty editorial jobs.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you have to like just get started.
Yes.
You know, just get in there.
And when people ask me like, how do I break into the industry? I'm like, there's no recreating what I did.
Yes.
There's really like, I really did something silly and it worked. And I can't tell people to do that.
Like, no, exactly.
You can't sell yourself on eBay.
It's kind of the same in the sense of when I was looking for social media jobs, a lot of them were like, well, you need experience. It's like, okay, but then
can I have it, please?
Yeah. And a lot of these were like entry level social media at the time, because I was out of college. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll get more schooling and I'll still look. And that's where I was like, okay, well, I'll freelance. I was freelancing anyways. And then I was like, well, I'll just kind of freelance bigger and bigger clients, and like, what more experience is that? And then to the point where I was like, never mind, I'm just gonna keep running my own business at this point.
Exactly.
But it is one of those like chicken or the egg. So when we're talking about, you know, your career history, you've written for some of the biggest names in media. Was there a moment that you were like, okay, I'm really a writer now?
I say there were two. Okay. There are actually two moments. So I grew up wanting to be a writer and an editor based on a well-known editor-in-chief named Jane Pratt. Jane Pratt founded Sassy Magazine, which is before your time, and Jane Magazine. And they were extremely influential on not just my outlook on life and lifestyle, but wanting to be a writer and editor. When I was in that content director position at that beauty PR firm, when I got back up to New York, they Jane Pratt had launched something called Exo Jane, which was sort of like this irreverent feminist, you know, we talk about everything, basically like your diary for everybody to see kind of website. And they were spinning off something called Exo Jane, which was going to be their more commercial beauty focused content. And they were looking for a beauty director. And I applied thinking I was not qualified for this. And full disclosure, I wasn't their first choice for the job. I know this. They told me this. I was their second choice. But Jane Pratt became my boss.
Oh, wow.
And that was like, oh my gosh,
yes,
the woman who influenced me into this field is now my boss. And that felt like an I made it moment.
And that's a lesson too of like, just apply anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even if you felt like, oh, I don't know, or I'm underqualified, like try.
I've always been confident in my writing. And this was validation for it.
Yes.
And previously, I had never thought to even pitch stories to well-known outlets because I didn't think... it's how I felt actually when I was auditioning for community theater for the first time. I thought it was full of just the most talented people in the entire world, and I can't possibly do it. Turns out I can.
Yes.
So that was my first, like, I've made it moment. And the second was after I'd done a few stints at, like, Time Inc. and Good Housekeeping, I moved back down to Florida. And almost immediately, I got the opportunity to be a contributing editor freelance for Allure. And I've basically been writing for Allure ever since.
Yes.
And I have the pleasure and privilege of writing for pretty much anyone who will have me. Because I'm a freelancer.
Yes.
But I do get to sort of have that little feather in my cap of like, I'm a contributing editor at Allure, and Allure is the beauty publication.
And I feel like that keeps you still close to New York. You know, you're still kind of close to the biz, the industry, and then you get to, you know, live in sunny South Florida. Yeah, the best of both worlds. So, you've been in the industry to watch, a lot of like traditional magazines, then blogs, and now social media. How have you seen, platforms like Instagram and TikTok kind of shape that space that was solely print at one point?
It's so funny. When I was the content director at that PR firm, social media was essentially in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously placement in print is what everyone wanted.
Yeah.
And social media was kind of a second thought. And this is only 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's not that long ago, but
it's really not, though.
Facebook was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram was
just starting.
Nothing. It was nothing. It just had the stupid little frames that you could put around the pictures. And so as content director, somebody who did not have true social media experience other than my own rinky-dink Instagram.
Yeah.
I was given the run of like La Roche-Posay's Facebook page. And this is how little people really valued social media. Not that I couldn't do a good job writing content for someone's Facebook page.
Yes.
But they just tossed it to somebody in the company of their PR firm that they were working with. And not
at least it was on the PR firm and not someone's like niece, right?
Or like that's sort of been the joke.
Yes.
Like back then everyone was like, if somebody posted something that was, not so great, they'd be like, well, that intern's getting fired. And it's like, back then it's true. It was an intern or it was just like somebody who...
You use a computer. Here you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, it's not the intern. It's somebody with a lot of strategic experience. It's been very interesting to see, because obviously there's been the death of a lot of print. Mm-hmm. Allure used to be a print magazine.
Yeah.
It is no longer in print.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone saw that InStyle was going to fold. Well, they didn't fold, but they're not in print anymore. They exist as a digital publication only.
And I don't even think dead. I almost think it's like evolve.
It has evolved.
Yeah.
There's some magazines that I think will always stay in print. Vogue will never not be a book.
Yeah.
It will always be a book.
It's a piece of art.
Yes.
It really is.
And New Beauty, they, I think, will always, they'll straddle. They'll have both.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in mostly digital. I rarely did print. So I was one of the first people in my generation of editors who was almost exclusively digital. Never had her toes in like the print pool.
I think that probably helped you.
I think it did.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that I'd experienced the print side of things. But that being said, I did feel a bit more inherently literate in the digital space and a little bit more inclined to gel with what was going on with social media. And it's been very interesting to see how these once formerly exclusive print magazines have tried to take on their presence on social media because they're trying to compete with just people who came out of nowhere, people who came out of the woodwork that have more followers than they do. And how do you interpret, a long form feature into an Instagram post that people will go to the link in bio to read?
Yeah.
No, is anyone really taking the time to do that? So I don't think things like long form features are ever going to go away. One of my pretty much daily tasks for Allure is writing a news story. And it'll be, just this morning I wrote about how Tracee Ellis Ross wore a hairnet, and I wrote 300 words about Tracee Ellis Ross wearing a teal hairnet and how cool it was. And later today, a post will very likely go up about that on Instagram. And how many people will click through? How many, not even click through, because you can't click through, right? You have to go out of your way.
Unless you're going through a story and...
Right. Yeah. So if you're only seeing it in your feed, if you're seeing a grid post, you have to proactively go out of your way to go to link in bio or the, what is it, like shop?
Yes. And then you see the little grid, you click on the grid and you watch. Yes.
It's an event to go read what somebody has
written.
It's on purpose.
It's by design.
Of course it is.
Why do they want you to leave their app?
Exactly.
When you can stay there, scroll, they can serve ads. They don't want you to go away from it.
Nope. And, I pay very close attention to the traffic that my stories get. And it's very interesting to see the source for the traffic source is rarely Instagram.
I was going to say, do you see it more search? Like
it's
Google?
I would say. And I don't know if those are trade secrets that I'm giving away, but I don't think it is. I think it's
I think it's keywords. People are searching something up. They want to learn more about something. That's where they're going to go to learn.
Yes.
I think it's going to be interesting, but I think traffic's going to shift. Google will always be one of the top, but I think it's going to shift also from AI.
Oh, for sure.
Like I think ChatGPT is going to start serving, and they already are. Like if you're looking stuff up, they'll already start linking articles and start serving like where they're getting the information from. Yeah. And I think there's going to be a lot of traffic sources from that.
It's so weird. I'm still like, adjusting to the idea of it all, but yeah, that Trace Ellis Ross story will probably go up as a grid feed or as a grid post.
Yeah,
and that will probably satisfy whoever wants to see it.
Yes.
And that's it.
Right. It's the headline. Okay. And then,
And if there is some kind of true teaser that, for example, I wrote a story about something called lash painting. And that just having an interesting term for something, or like, glazed donut nails was like the thing.
Yes.
If people think they can picture it, but they're not sure what it is, then maybe they'll click through.
Yes.
Or if it's a really good tip that, if we haven't revealed the answer to it in the caption, then there will be some, transition to actually reading it. But it's disappointing as a writer because I know that something that I wrote 300 words about, which is not that much in the grand scheme of things, someone might read 50 of them.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's definitely interesting. I also feel like what's interesting too in your world is you have, these big names in beauty that are very recognized and people trust them, especially when Allure does their awards. And,
sure.
People trust that.
Yeah.
But then you have someone like Bethany Frankel,
right,
who is doing her off-the-cuff reviews of moisturizers and makeup, who is not really qualified to she's just giving her opinion on the cuff.
Yes.
But she's influencing brands.
And I don't know if there's a way to really measure, how many people are buying something because Bethany Frankel said to buy it, or didn't buy something because she says she didn't like it. There's no Bethany Frankel seal on a bottle of CeraVe at CVS.
No.
There is an Allure one.
And I know people who are like, oh, I'm going to try that cream because she said it's great. And it's funny, but I think there's a lot of influencers and celebs that are affecting brands more than I think brands know or they want to give credit to.
Yeah.
And, without paying, like a lot of them are not paying for these influencer partnerships. They're just talking about it to make content.
Yeah. It's, I wish people would understand the amount of real research that goes into the actual beauty journalism.
Yes.
Versus just influencer opinion.
And then on top of that, you have influencers who don't really care about their feelings or opinions on things. They care about the dollar because it's a career. They have bills to pay. So they're also promoting products that maybe kind of suck, or they're promoting products that, this mascara is amazing and it's so clumpy and expensive.
Right.
And I think that people have to have their own discernment.
It's, one of the best people at this game. I don't want to call it a game because what he does is actually very informative and helpful. Are you familiar with Derm Angelo?
No.
My favorite dermatologist on
I need to follow. Yeah.
On Instagram and TikTok. He is a brilliant, he's in his mid-30s dermatologist. He's known as the high dermatologist here guy. So basically, he will sort of do stitches where someone, an influencer, or just
gives bad advice,
and he interrupts them.
Love.
And basically clarifies, here's why, he ripped down beef tallow, which was thing that was,
or people putting Vaseline everywhere.
Yeah. Right. And so when he gets a partnership, a paid partnership, because he's so honest and straightforward with the other things, when he does choose to do a sponsored post or something like that, it reads as authentic.
Yes, because he built the trust.
Yes. Whereas I think other influencers, it's very clear, you don't even need to put hashtag paid partnership. It's obvious.
Yes. Yeah. So speaking of influencers, we're going to go on to celebrities. Are there any of you interviewed before that really surprised you with their take on beauty, or did you have any particular favorite interviewees?
one of my favorites, I actually put it.
We have a couple. Yeah.
I put one of my favorites in contrast with one of my least favorites. Now, I'm not going to name names for the least favorite.
Yeah, of course.
It is
no rioting here.
It is an A-list actress and a well-known skincare brand. And a lot of my interviews come about because an actor has partnered with a brand. And that's how I get the opportunity to talk to them. And in this case, this actress, would not stray from the brand's script at all. And it was extremely disappointing because ultimately it seemed like the brand wanted more or less a sponsored post in the outlet. And that's not how it works. And it's not what readers want to read.
No, it feels inauthentic then.
Very inauthentic. And they want an interview with they want insight. They want to know something about the celebrity they didn't know before. And if that happens to be a mention or two of these products, that's great. But the whole article can't be, no, why this celebrity loves this product, because it doesn't read as anything but an advertisement.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks after I had that clunker of an interview, I interviewed Kristen Bell, who was promoting the new product from her line, which was Happy something. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of her brand. But she had sort of like a CBD skincare line for a little while. And
wasn't it Happy Face?
I don't know, it's Happy Face. It's Happy something.
Yes, Happy Smiles. I remember because I think I had something from you.
Yeah.
Like you had a bunch.
It was a super cute brand.
Happy Dance.
Happy Dance.
Wow. But it's very her.
Does it still exist?
I don't know. I think she might have sold it or got rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay, but Kristen Bell.
So she was promoting a new product from the Happy Dance line. And so we were talking on the phone and she was in her home. And at one point I asked her about her skincare routine. And without hesitation, she walked to her bathroom and basically started giving me a phone tour of everything in her medicine cabinet with absolutely no qualms about mentioning other brands, because that's realistic, right? You can get out the word that your product is great without pretending that no other products exist.
Yes.
So that made for a very fun interview, because it's like, here's what Kristen Bell's actually using. And like the fact that she walked me to her bathroom essentially, even though I'm on the phone.
It almost amplifies her brand too, because if those other brands mention it, be like, Kristen Bell also mentioned our brand.
Exactly.
Then you're going to see what else is she talking about? Oh, she has an own line too. Like it just amplifies for free.
Exactly. And it just reads as so much more human than sticking to the brand script. I also loved talking to Kat Dennings. She and I really connected. We both bonded over how much we loved that Kevin Aucoin makeup book from like the late 90s. Jane Fonda was great. Lionel Richie told me that he was responsible for my conception. So that was interesting. Yeah. He had a great fragrance that came out. So that's why I was talking to him. And when I told him what year I was born, he was like, oh, yeah, your parents were listening to my music when that happened. And it's like, oh, Mr. Richie.
Sir. I love that.
Yeah. So there have been a lot of great ones. I haven't in a while. Gosh, yeah, it's been a while since I've interviewed a celebrity. But one of the more recent ones, and I say that recent, it was like in the last 2 years, Courtney Cox.
Oh, yes.
She, again, was teamed with a brand. At the time, it was Dermalogica. And we got into like a 10-minute conversation about cottage cheese.
And I love that.
Fantastic.
I love that.
Fantastic. But that's what
it's real.
Yes. Better.
Yes.
No one wants to just hear about the brand.
Exactly.
Well, the mention will happen.
Yes.
But you got to be a human. And
yes,
that's what people want to read.
So then as a writer, when you are putting together, you have your 300-word article and you have your headlines, what's making it into a social media caption? Is it pulling the headline? What's going to make people stop? Or really, is it the image and the caption not as strong? Like, what are you seeing?
I think that the image has a greater influence on driving people to the story than any of the words, unfortunately.
Instagram and TikTok are so visual. I feel like it has to stop you in your tracks first.
Yeah. And I speak, I'm not the social media manager,
Right.
For Allure is where most of my articles are going to be turned into social media posts at this point. And it used to be that we wouldn't put, and this is still actually true of the lead image that we'll use in a story, we won't reveal the look. So if you see a headline about something on Google, like for example, today, the Tracy Ellis Ross story that I wrote, we're not putting that picture as the lead image that you will see on Google because we want people to click through and find out what it is.
Yes.
But more recently, I've seen that on social, we're revealing the look.
Yeah.
Because that's what people want to see.
And then it's shareable in a sense.
Exactly.
Like then we'll share it to a friend or this and that. But if you're trying to be so coy on Instagram, it's almost like it's so difficult.
Yes. And actually, it's funny you mentioned, does the headline become the caption? It doesn't. At least in my case, because I'll write the social media caption for each of my stories and they'll get edited by the social media manager and stuff like that.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
So you will give some guidelines.
Sure. Usually, more often than not, what becomes the caption is some version of the intro paragraph because that is sort of
a teaser enough.
It's setting the stage and it's not giving away everything. It's usually pretty conversational. And so, it's rarely the headline. It's usually, at least for me, it is some semblance of the intro paragraph.
Yeah, I like that. I know lately one of our clients is in tech and they get a lot of press, and I'll try to pull, the intro paragraphs sometimes are also kind of mundane or a little boring because it's appealing to a tech audience.
Right.
So like, how am I going to make this, social worthy? And it's for a LinkedIn audience. So we can kind of, use more words there.
Yeah.
But I'll pull quotes instead of this is groundbreaking or, so-and-so said yada, yada. And I think that has more power there for that industry. So I think the industry is also just vary.
Yeah. And I also find it interesting. I'm seeing a lot of outlets not holding back on the length of their captions anymore. So,
well, now that Google, so as of last week, Google said that they're going to allow Instagram to index basically for Google search. So there's no reason to hold back. Yeah, the more keywords, the more you can stuff it.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. That's amazing. But The Cut, for example, I don't know if you follow The Cut.
Yeah,
but their captions, first of all, are the best captions in the business. They're funny, and in many ways, they're regurgitations of what's in a story already.
Yes.
But it gets you. And I've seen 3-paragraph captions from them, and it never feels like too much because if it's well written and it's funny, and this is a very literate audience, The Cut. So no one's just like.
And if you're already there, you don't have to click away or scroll away. Then okay, I'll read it.
Yeah. Oh, they've gotten me a number of times, and
I love that.
And you have to pay to read The Cut.
Yeah. So I love that. That's great. So Marci, we wrap every episode by asking our guests 2 questions. The first one is, what's your favorite current social media platform and why?
Oh gosh. Okay. Instagram is where I feel comfortable. And I mentioned this to you before we started that, I've been wanting to create more of my own content. And I have found myself really enjoying TikTok, whereas a year ago I was like, this is nonsense. Yeah. I cannot get down with this. This is crazy.
It's addicting.
It is. No, ask my fiance. He will tell you I will fall into holes
easily.
Never see me again.
Easily.
And it's a hard choice for me now because as much as I feel comfortable on Instagram and feel like I understand it, I've really been enjoying the journey of learning TikTok. If it's like F, marry, kill, I'll marry Instagram. I will kill Facebook.
Oh, yes.
And I will F
TikTok. I love that. Thank you. And then what's one social media trend that you wish would just go away?
Rage bait.
Oh, yes.
Rage bait.
Yes.
Oh, God, rage bait.
I saw a really bad one today on TikTok, actually, where this girl, I guess a woman, was on there saying, tell me if I'm crazy or if I, if I'm wrong. But my husband goes out every night and he comes back very late, doesn't tell me where he's going, but probably playing pool or hanging with his friends or watching sports game. And I have to, feed our 2 kids, get them ready for bed and do everything by myself. is that marriage? Like she was so annoying about it because she wanted everyone to like she clearly did it on purpose. So maybe she would show her husband, like, look, you're crazy or whatever. And it was the engagement, yes. And it was nuts. And people were like, are you meant? Like, with the comments were bananas. So then there I am watching it. Then I go to her account. That's how you know you're pulled in or scammed.
Exactly.
And then I'm watching like more videos of like, did this girl get divorced? And she is getting divorced.
Oh, wow. So it was authentic. Like,
yes, but I think she was making content around it to make money, obviously. But like, I mean, good, like correct. But it was one of those things where it was rage bait because she was acting dumb when she knows it was wrong.
That drives me crazy. And there's a lot of rage bait in beauty where you'll see someone like pile on an entire bottle of foundation.
Oh, I've seen those.
It's like, this doesn't help anybody. This doesn't help anybody. And if for me, any kind of rage bait that I would produce, I don't think would help garner a following. I think it would be like a one-off thing, and like that's it. It doesn't establish trust.
No. Yeah. And there's two other ones in beauty that I think of right away with the girl who didn't wash her face for like ever.
Yeah.
That she was going viral
like,
off it.
Crust.
And she was going viral off having a crusty face because she had this like skincare of like, she's like, when I wash it, it's gonna be fresh underneath. It's replenishing cells, and everyone's like, people didn't even believe it. People are saying she's adding a clay mask every day to make it like worse. It was nuts. And then another one I recently saw was this girl went to bed. She took like a paper towel or tissue, did her whole makeup on the tissue. And then when she woke up, she put them and then walked out the door and it looked good. And everyone was like, there's no way. It was rage bait.
It is 100% rage bait. And
who's going to try that?
And, this is sort of like rage bait's cousin. Because I think a lot of the people that are saying these things actually do believe them and they're not trying to upset anybody. But the people who are sort of fear-mongering about beauty products.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll tell you that like sunscreen is worse for you than sun exposure. And they'll say things like, our ancestors never got skin cancer. And it's like, because they didn't live long enough to get it.
Right.
Like they were dead by 40.
And who's giving this advice?
That's rage bait in its own way. But like, just to make people angry for engagement is
no.
I can't go with that.
Me neither. Well, Marci, thank you so much for joining us. Your insight, wit, and beauty wisdom were everything we hoped for and more. Where can our listeners follow you and keep up with everything you're working on?
So on Instagram and TikTok, I am MarciRobin. Marci Robin, obviously. And you can find a lot of my writing on Allure. I'm pretty much bylines galore on Allure. Oh my gosh, that rhymed. But yeah, and my byline pops up all over the place.
Yeah, well, we'll be sure to link your socials and website on the show notes. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Cassie.